Hey everyone, welcome back to Evony with Genghis. So yesterday we talked about monarch gear presets, specifically the debuffs presets, HP, defense, and attack. If you're going to get those, you got to spend money. Use the Aptoide code on the screen right now, save an additional 5%. Now, yesterday we talked about archers and siege attacks and Ares gear attack, where you are using a buff to help all of your troops. So you're kind of hedging your bets on what you're going to be attacking with that and what you want to debuff. Today we're going to talk about the two more controversial ones, ground and mounted. Why are they controversial? Because they can be used in a lot of different situations. They can be used as just an opening attack on, a lower size city. So like for example, we will send 40 million rallies power, like troops, that 40 million troops are inside the rally. So if we see a city that is about 6 to 8 billion, we can open with ground or horse and probably do pretty well against it unless it's really well built and usually kill it. Or you could see a T1 trap and attack it. Or you can hit someone with archers and siege and wear them down, so now they're clear, and then you could clear them with ground or horse. So there's all sorts of different options. Usually you'd clear with ground, but there are scenarios where you'd clear with horse. For example, very large players like myself tend to have a lot of siege, and then when you make a lot of siege, you have a lot of leftover food, so then you make a lot of ground. So then at the end of the game, end of the battle, they have a lot of ground left over after you've killed their siege. So then you might want to use horse on those type of people. But most people are going to be cleared with ground. Now, what do I do with my ground attack? My ground debuffs? So generally, my ground is going to be used to clear a small city, like a 2 billion. I'm just going to hit them. Or we're going to use it in a rally on 6 billion. So I kind of hedge my bets on those. And if I'm going after a city that is, 2 billion size or a clear after someone's already been hit, what am I going to be debuffing here? So here I'm going to debuff, I'm going to hedge my bets on this. And I'm going to debuff both ground and mounted HP, both ground and mounted defense. Why am I choosing both of those? Well, if I'm going to be hitting a 2 billion city, there's a chance they got some T1 troops, and T1 troops usually have ground or horse inside. So the T1 cities usually have those troops. So I'm going to hedge against that. Also, in the same scenario, if I'm going to be sending it against just like a 2 or 3 billion target who doesn't have T1 troops, they're going to have horse and ground inside, and they're going to be their two strongest defenders. So I'm going to debuff those. And then if we're going to be rallying like a 6 billion keep, they're going to have all their troops already. So again, I'm going to be debuffing the strongest ones. Now, what am I going to debuff for attack? I choose horse. Why? Well, T1 traps are going to have horse, so I'm going to debuff that, and horse attack is pretty strong. I'm not going to debuff siege attack or archer attack because generally those are weaker attacks, but they attack from a long range, so they get more attacks in. But I just don't see the point in debuffing it. Horse are larger attack-wise. They have a high attack. If we go into the city here, and if we just look at our different troop types here, so if we look at the view on archers, T14 archers have an attack of 21,000. Let's go into horses and see what T14 horse is. And T14 horse will get into the battle very quickly also. So 35,000, 36,000. So a much higher attack level. But horse will get into the battle quickly as well, and because of their speed. And I just feel like it's important to debuff the horse attack because horse are the enemy of ground as well. Now, if this is a clear and the city doesn't have horse anymore, it probably isn't going to make too big of a difference if I just want to switch this up. But let's say I am sitting on siege right here, and oh, I see a target. He's cleared. We already just attacked him. I'm going to switch to ground. I could easily just do this one little switch right here, switch to ground, and then hit them. Or I could just not worry about it because I'm hoping I'm going to overpower them anyways. So that's how I like to set up my ground debuffs. Now, my horse might be a little different than some people just because one thing I don't do with my horses very often is I don't attack T1 traps with horses. Lots of people do, and lots of people swear it's successful. It doesn't work for me. I don't know why. I've tried so many times. I've showed reports to other big players as well and asked them like, "Hey, why doesn't this work?" Cuz they'll tell me like, "Use horse against the T1 trap." And then I'll do it and I'll be like, "Look, it doesn't work for me." But they can't explain why. Like looking at my reports, it should work. Maybe there's just some things we don't see in their well-built T1 traps, and sometimes you can't see everything in a report. But ground works for me against T1 traps. So my horse, I don't focus on T1 traps with my debuffs because it's very rare I'm going to do it. What am I going to be doing with my horse? Well, my horse are going to be attacking a city that has a lot of ground, and I want to debuff ground HP and ground defense because it's high. And then archers, the reason why I debuff archers is because they're the enemy of horse, so I want to lower that attack. Also, in the very rare place where I will attack a smaller city, a T1 city, or even just like a 2 billion city, one thing I have noticed is a lot of those players like to hide their archers. Why are they hiding them? I think they're hiding them. One, T1 traps are hiding them to be sneaky because they want you to be like, oh, I can send my archers, send my horse in. And then they drop the archers and archers hit you. So if you ever see a T1 trap that doesn't have many troops up top, they just have a lot of T1 and T2 troops, do a scout attack. Attack them with 10,000 T1s. Look at the report and see if they dropped any ghost rallies on you when you hit. I bet they did. And they'll probably have some archers in there and there to fight your horses. So you want to debuff that. And then the other reason why people would ghost their archers is, let's just say it's like a 3 billion keep. They might just ghost their archers because archer is the most used rally by alliances. So they might hide those to protect them. So then they can use them to join rallies with. And then they could also drop them if you attack them with horses. So when it comes to horses, I'm not really worried about ground troop attack. So if we ground are going to get you because they just got a lot of them. But if we look up here, T14, we had, it was 36,000 horse attack, 25,000 archer attack, and these are 20,000 at the T14 level, so the same level. So anyways, that's how I set up my ground and mounted debuffs. I'm sure lots of you out there do it a little bit differently, but let me know in the comments what you do differently. It's good for other people to see other opinions, but this is just for my play style and the style we have in our alliance of how we rally. Remember, I said in the first video, we generally rally with archers and horse fast and early and often, and then we get into siege and ground rallies, and that's why lots of my debuffs are set up the way they are. So like, subscribe, leave a comment.